I'm delighted to be joined by former Peterborough United striker Jack Marriott. Jack, first and foremost, you've slicked your hair there, nicely done. Is that just for this interview?
No, it's getting a bit long, so unless I want it over my eyes, I'm going to have to keep gluing it back.
This is a challenge, isn't it, for footballers? Because I spoke to a number of them and they've had their partners shave their hairs, and this is the ultimate trust exercise. Are you planning to go down that route?
No. If anything, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to grow it, get it back to the lengths it was in my Peterborough days.
Nice. Obviously, talking about your Peterborough time, obviously, when you signed for the football club, I think most supporters would have been slightly surprised because obviously you weren't playing in League Two at the time. Was it a move that surprised you as well?
Not necessarily, because I think the final sort of 6 months at Luton, I didn't play loads. I still played, but it wasn't as much as I'd liked. And obviously, I was very close with Craig McHale-Smith, who's obviously got the ties to Peterborough, and he made me aware that Peterborough have always had an interest, as the chairman said himself, as well as Barry. And as soon as I heard that it could have been a possibility, it was something I wanted to do. You know, it was the league hire, wanted to test myself, and we managed to get it through. I spoke to the Luton manager, Nathan Jones, at the time, and I felt it was the right time for me to progress my own career, to push on to the league above. We'd just missed out on the playoffs to League One that season. So I felt, well, why not? It's a club renowned for doing well for strikers, and I love my time there.
Yeah, is that really playing on your mind as a striker to know that other strikers have done well there and also got moves? I know no player moves and publicly states they're using it as a stepping stone, but obviously you can see why it's an attraction for strikers in particular.
Of course, and it's always seemed to been Peterborough's almost image is the success that their strikers have had and gone on to have. You look at the likes of Britt and Dwight and Craig, and that's just three. You know, you've got Aaron McLean, you've got so many that have played. You look at Ivan at the moment, he's absolutely flying. So he's obviously taken that step to go to Peterborough, scoring goals, playing good football, and everyone's watching him. So it is, and I think other clubs do look at Peterborough and they're always watching their strikers because of their reputation.
Yeah, when you signed, obviously you had a pretty much a full pre-season and you were sort of trying to form a partnership because we had a number of other strikers at the time. Obviously, Ricky Miller was flying during that particular pre-season. I don't know whether, I think you played a couple of games with him, but you were probably on the other side of how the pre-season games worked. Did you feel when you joined that there was a number 1, 2, 3, 4?
I felt there was competition for sure. Obviously, Ricky was the main striker signing. It seemed that's how I felt coming in anyway. He was coming off the back of scoring however many in the conference, and he was going to be the guy to fire us up. And when in actual fact it was me and Junior that started the season. Obviously Ricky had his 6-game ban or something, and then that partnership between me and Junior was kind of hard to break. We had that connection. We were both scoring, both assisting, doing well, and it was good to play him. And he was a good lad and always has been, and he was good to play with.
Yeah, did the fact that obviously did you know Ricky had a 6-match ban when you were during pre-season? When did you find out? Did you think at that time this is a great opportunity to get straight in?
It was probably halfway through pre-season, because I think we started hearing a few rumblings and what the case was, and then. Yeah, we sort of, everyone knew that he was going to be with this ban, and I thought, well, okay, so it looks like I've got a good chance of starting the season. Towards the back end of the pre-season game, started playing and scoring and doing well, and it was me and Junior as the two up front. So we were speaking to each other and thinking, well, we've got a great chance here. You know, we could be the strike partnership moving forward, and it was. And that first month was incredible.
I mean, you scored your first goals in a hat-trick, which is very unusual for a striker to do, away at Bristol Rovers in a 4-1 win. Did that sort of ease pressure? Did you feel like you were going to, obviously you didn't score in the first couple of games, but to score the hat-trick must have felt so good?
Yeah, so the first game was Plymouth at home, and I set Junior up that game. So that was a kind of, in my own head, I thought, right, I'm bringing something to the team. But I do want to score. Strikers want to score, of course. So to then get that first goal against Bristol Rovers and then to go on and score a hat-trick was really like, okay, now we can just kick on from here. And then we played Rotherham at home the next game and I'd scored 2. And then Northampton away as the last league game of the month and scored another there as well. So it was the best way to kick off was that Bristol Rovers game in terms of goals anyway.
And as a striker, when you're scoring as many goals as we were at the early part of that season in particular, you mentioned Northampton obviously scoring a lot there, and obviously it set us in great stead. Did you feel as a striker, this is going to be one heck of a season for me because there's so many chances being created?
I kind of, it might sound cliche, but I literally just kept looking to the next game. It wasn't a case of, I'm going to try and catch so-and-so's goal record. I'm going to try and... All I wanted to do was score 3 goals a month on average. Now that I'd scored 6 in the first month, I thought, well, there's a good chance I can get a good average over the season and get to a good tally. Because if you score 3 goals a month, it's 30 goals. So that was a target that I'd sort of set myself, but took it a game at a time.
Yeah. When you weren't scoring, you went through a few games where you didn't score. Did that really play on your mind? Were you a striker that were bothered by the fact that you weren't scoring?
Of course. There was, I think the longest spell was, I think I had a 4-game period where I hadn't scored. And the manager, Grant, at the time knew that and knew it was not bothering me, but I was well aware that I hadn't scored in 4 games. He pulled me in, showed me all my best bits, showed me goals that I'd done that year. And said, go again. And then I scored that Saturday against Blackpool away. So there's little things, little sort of triggers that I remember from that season that helped. And it just seemed to click. We were creating a lot of chances and I was able to put quite a few of them away.
Yeah, obviously you had a good partnership with Junior. Obviously, you had a good partnership with Marcus Maddison as well. Ivan said that often when Marcus was playing, he'd know where the ball was going to be. Was that how you felt as well? Yeah,
I think that my natural runs, my instinct, he would always look for them. There was a lot of goals that he'd set up for me that were. Some would say route 1, but it wasn't because it was Marcus playing the ball. And it would be a 40-yarder over the defence's head and it'd be to my feet. Same with his crossing. I don't think I've ever scored as many headers as I did that season. But he had that ability to be able to find those runs, which was I thrived off.
The game at Aston Villa, obviously in the FA Cup, a big win, obviously against a Championship side, a great performance as well. Did you come out of that game, particularly given the timing of when it was, thinking that we've all put ourselves, we've all sort of put our hands in the air and said, look at us, look what we can do? And did January feel a little bit weird as a result because you were linked left, right and centre?
I think the best thing about that Villa game was not thinking about what it could do for each individual's career. We went there as the underdogs, going to a massive Premier League team now, with some big names in the team, and we played really well and we beat them. And that was the squad that we had. It was that underdog nature going into that game to being able to a Championship team at that time to turn them over on their own patch as well. And I think it made January a bit more, there was a lot more floating around, I think, because of that game. Loads of us doing it against the Championship team, but it wasn't really anything I was thinking about. It was one of those where no one really listened to the rumours. We were such a tight-knit dressing room and we all had one goal that season. Unfortunately, we didn't get there, but we were all sort of singing off the same hymn sheet.
In terms of the goals that you did score, was there one that stands out more than the others?
I would say, God, that is a tough one.
I suppose the Northampton one sticks in my memory only because of it was a lob and the angle that you were at the time, and obviously because it's a local derby as well.
The two against Northampton, the one in the one at Sixfields, and then the one at our place. Mm-hmm. One of my best mates was in the crowd, which was in the Northampton end, which was good. I've always enjoyed scoring against them. It's a little boyhood thing, having grown up there. I don't know, maybe. I really don't know. That's a difficult one.
It's strange because speaking to Britt Sambalonga, obviously he was a striker who scored all types of goals. You would see him score 30-yard strikes. You would see him score headers. You were more of an instinctive finisher and a box finisher, and there weren't many long range efforts that you would have scored.
No, there wasn't. I think the only 2 or 3 that I scored from outside the box were lobs. I don't know. I would probably say the first one at home my second one at home against Rotherham.
Yeah.
The game of the season, the lob.
Yeah.
That was quite a nice one. I enjoyed that one anyway.
At what point did you think to yourself, right, I'm going to be leading goal scorer. I'm going to score excess of 30 goals. Was there a period in this, because you went on an unbelievable run of scoring pretty much in every game or every other game, and not ones, twos as well. You must have felt a little bit at that time whereby this could work.
I think it was probably mid-January or the start of January. I think I was on 21, maybe mid-January, and I thought, well, that's 9 to go, with still a lot of games. And I thought I've got a chance of getting to 30. I didn't think about getting any more than 30. Obviously, Craig constantly messaging me saying, don't you dare catch my record of 35, which I didn't. But I think probably mid-January, I thought I've got a chance of getting to 30. To actually do it and to get to 33 was massive for me. Personally, anyway, I absolutely loved it that season.
Well, towards the end of the season, obviously, because of the way that things were working out, and obviously a deal looked like it was in place, you actually didn't play in a number of the games towards the end of the season. You were on the bench at Portsmouth, and probably panicking a little bit. I was sitting there with 2 Golden Boot awards, and it looked like Brett Pittman was going to get close. Yeah,
so I remember speaking to Steve Evans before the game. He says, I'm not going to play you. It's the last game of the season. Obviously, we want to win it, but I wouldn't be able to live with myself if you were to get injured and it would scupper a move or whatever. So I respected that. Obviously, I would have loved to have played, loved to have scored, but I could completely see where he was coming from. And then in the first half, Brett Pittman scored 2, and I think he was the closest guy to me in terms of league goals. I was 27. I think he was on 23 going into that game. No, he was on 22, sorry, and that took him to 24. And I'm thinking, well, that's 2 in the first half. If we have a nightmare here, he could actually catch me. But I think, thankfully, he didn't.
There was a moment in the second half where you jumped up to warm up for no reason whatsoever. And I think it was more out of panic than anything else, wasn't it?
More of I'll go and warm up in the hope that I can, if he scores another, I can get on and hopefully score one as well. But thankfully, it all works out for the best.
Do you look back on that? Because obviously, as a striker, as you say, you wanted to play. The manager was saying that it's in your best interest probably not to play. Do you look back on it in hindsight and think, actually, he's done really well for me? Because obviously, football's a short career. You don't know what's going to happen. Anything could have happened in that game. Do you have a little bit of sort of thanks to him in a sense that was played out as it was?
Of course, yeah. There could be anything. I know, Fratton Park is a tight ground, and it could be as simple as running around the outside and damaging your knee on the AstroTurf and then falling into the crowd. It could be anything as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a tackle. So I do look back and think that was the best for all parties in the long term. Obviously, you never go into a game thinking, "Oh, I don't want to get injured," but that worked out for the best, not playing.
And obviously, you got your move in that summer and moved on from there. And was that nice in the way that, and obviously you wanted the deal done quickly as possible, but you could see both sides of things in terms of how that transfer happened?
Of course, yeah. It was difficult because, you know, I came back in for the start of pre-season with Peterborough, and it was, you know, the manager at the time, we kind of started pre-season under the same as we finished the end of the season. So it was a case of, we don't want to play you in many pre-season games because we don't want you to get injured. And we'd rather, you know, you got your move for you and for us. It was all parties wanted. But on the downside, I wasn't getting any fitness. So I was doing running, but there was only so much you can do without getting match fitness. You know, going to Portugal, I was able to get 60 minutes in a game, but it was.
And you nearly got battered from recollection as well.
Yeah, I remember that actually. Yeah, with the centre half. Yeah, he did try and. I think it was me and Matty Godden, wasn't it? He came over to try and. But yeah, that was interesting. But it was a strange period because I was in a dressing room that I kind of knew I wouldn't be with for the long term, and the manager was building a team that wasn't involving me. You know, there was a lot of signings coming in and coming out, and I knew that I wasn't going to be a part of it. But so that was a strange old period. But they were all great lads as well, so it was a good time anyway.
During that season, obviously, you mentioned Madison, we mentioned Junior Mariah. So who was there anybody that you felt was underrated in that squad that probably didn't get the I don't know, praise that they deserved given what they did?
I could name a few, to be fair. Hughesy. Hughesy was solid at left back, and you see what he's doing now. You know, he's got his move, and he's playing in the champ, and he was very underrated. As was Anthony Grant, who I felt was, you know, the heart of the midfield, was rock solid in the midfield. And I felt that those two were key to our team when they played. I think Bondi, when he was playing in goal, I thought he was one of the best keepers I've played with. I think he saved us so many times in that period that he was playing anyway. I'm trying to think. Obviously, Marcus was the flair assist king, as he would put himself. I'd say, and I think the leadership from the back. So when we had Stephen Taylor and Jack Baldwin, I think there was a lot of leadership back there. And I felt we were strong with them at the back. Junior, underrated. I felt that we played our best football when we played together.
You as a two, because again, speaking to other players, speaking to Ryan Bennett about Gabi Sakwani, and I think because Junior provided a lot of the physicality and often occupied a second defender rather than the one, it did allow probably more space that you wouldn't have expected. And it's important when you've got a partnership, I guess, that someone does that job.
Correct, yeah. And it was always, we were always compared to Craig and Aaron. We were always compared to them because of similar playing styles. I would be similar to Craig in the sense of trying to use pace in behind.
And always offside.
Junior, always offside, of course. And Junior would be similar to Maka in terms of holding up the play, holding up the defenders, and creating the space for the other. Also, I felt Liam Shepherd had a really good year that year. When he played in the team, I thought he was very, very good going forward and defensively. So I felt he was key for us in many ways. Obviously, I don't actually think any one of those players that I've named, apart from Marcus, was still there the following year. But sometimes that's football, isn't it? People make changes. People go for what they want that will suit their styles, I suppose.
And just finally, I better give you some credit then, because you came back earlier this season when we were on a little bit of a bad run, and since then, up until the enforced break, we've had a great run. So is it all down to Jack Marriott?
No. I'd love to take credit, but no, it was just great to come back and to speak to the chairman, to see Baz, and to see all the people that I knew throughout my time there. And it was a good time, and I will come back for future seasons as and when I can, because I love it there, and I love coming and watching the lads play.